spin because they weren't expecting that from Mo Salah. We were talking earlier, Jamie said this very rarely happens that he speaks to reporters after the game. Are we really to believe that there has not been conversations, there's not been an offer from Liverpool for their iconic player, Mo Salah?
Of course, there's been discussions, yeah. Right now, there's obviously a big difference in the valuation. What Mo Salah and his agent value themselves at, whether that's financially or in terms of length of contract, to what Liverpool do. So the reason Liverpool wouldn't have offered a contract yet is because Mo Salah will turn it down. So they're still in talks. Maybe I'm desperate for them to meet in the middle. But I must say, I am very disappointed with Mo Salah.
Why?
That interview last night after the game, and it comes out today. Liverpool have got Real Madrid midweek and they've got Manchester City at the weekend. That's the story for Liverpool right now. And Mo Salah, we're all quite aware, certainly the local reporters are in Liverpool, that in the 7 years he's been at the football club, he's stopped in the mix zone twice, which is right, which is absolutely fine. But he decided to stop for the third time away at Southampton on the back of winning Liverpool the game and putting that out. Now, the most important thing for Liverpool Football Club this season is not the future of Mo Salah. It's not the future of Virgil van Dijk, and it's not the future of Trent Alexander-Arnold. The most important thing is Liverpool winning the Premier League. That is more important than any of those players. And if he continues to put comments out, or his agent keeps putting cryptic tweets out, that's selfish. That's thinking about themselves and not the football club.
But is that not because he is an icon? He is the guy that has helped Liverpool to great success, titles, European success as well. And perhaps he feels like he's not getting the love from his club right now.
Well, he's certainly getting the love from me and Liverpool supporters, and they're in talks. That is part of football. I would say Mo Salah is in the top 5 players to ever play for Liverpool Football Club. I would go Steven Gerrard, Kenny Dalglish, Graham Souness, Ian Rush, and I'd put Mo Salah in 5th position. That's how highly I rate him. That's how special this guy is.
So give him what he wants, surely?
No, it's not about giving somebody what they want. But what I would say is, I hope Mo Salah and the other 2 players who are involved in this, Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, feel like this club will fall apart if they ever move on. Steven Gerrard left the football club. The next manager came in and won the league. Steven Gerrard didn't win the league. Jurgen Klopp won the league with a new team. Kenny Dalglish, at that time, Liverpool's greatest ever player, when he stopped playing, Peter Beardsley came in and was part of probably the greatest footballing team we've ever seen in a red shirt in 1988. Graham Souness left. Liverpool won the double for the first time in their history 2 years later in 1986. Ian Rush moved on. After him came John Aldridge, and then later when Ian Rush moved on, Robbie Fowler came. And Salah, would we miss him if he moved on? Of course you would. But I can assure you, Liverpool will move on.
Stevie?
You know, I think there's actually 2 sides to this. I think the good side is, it sounds to me as though he wants to stay. You know, I got from listening to him and looking at him that he wants a contract. That's great news for Liverpool fans. Unfortunately, the other side of the coin is, if there's no offer yet, what is the problem? And I guess the problem really is, it's down to money, no question. And I'm a little surprised that Salah's come out again. He's already been out once. You know, for a guy who doesn't speak to the press, to come out again and say what he did, I think what he's doing is looking for a little bit of, not leverage, but he's trying to tell them, you need to offer me something pretty quickly. Because let's be honest, in January, he can sign for anybody else. He can sign a contract. So I think he's trying to push the envelope. I think he's trying to push them into making an offer. But he's also telling us that there hasn't been one.
He's key, Stevie, to Liverpool and to everything that they do. You're talking about if it does come down to money, is this a situation where Liverpool should be breaking the bank to keep a player like this?
Look, I'm always talking about you have to look after the club, you know. And the problem Liverpool have is if they give this guy, you know, he's already on, what, between 350 and 400,000 a week. He's already on that. So clearly he's wanting more. Now, you've got Van Dijk. Can you afford to give not only these 2 players that amount of money? Because if I'm Van Dijk, I'm as important as Mo Salah is. OK, he gets all the pats in the back with the goals, but I'm in charge at the back. I'm the one that's stopping the opposition from getting in. And then it's a snowball effect after that, because then everybody wants more money. And so Liverpool have to be... They're walking a fine line between losing one of the best assets.
Who would you keep if you could only choose one?
Wow. That's not a very nice question.
Sorry. Starting strong for a Monday FC.
Wow. I don't know. They're both as important. They're both as important. You know, all you've got to do is look over the road at Man City, how they can't defend. That's how important having a guy in charge at the back is, a proper central defender. That's how important it is.
Who makes the most difference when they're not available to that team? Which is the biggest absence?
There's not an answer to all of these questions. There's just not. Well, because you have to understand that they're both as important as each other. You know.
How old is Van Dijk?
Yeah, it might be harder for Stevie, obviously. Very close to his heart, Liverpool.
Down the road to Manchester City, I think you're seeing there at the moment what can happen if the players just start to grow old in front of you. You don't know how much longer Salah's going to go on performing at this level. I mean, my answer to the question will be, of the three at the moment, I'd keep Salah as the number one. He's the game changer. He keeps coming up with big goals that change matches, win matches for them, win points. And he looks in terrific shape still. And I really quite interpret what he did there. I mean, as the boys were saying, he doesn't usually give interviews. He's coming out, he's going public, and he's saying, look, the club haven't even offered me a contract. Look what I just did again today. 2 more goals. It's mad, isn't it? So he wants that offer. He definitely wants to stay. There's no doubt about that. But he's wondering and he's mystified by the silence at the moment. But, yeah, he probably wants 3 years. You know, are they going to give him 3 years to take him up to 35? Well, that would be doubtful. So it's something to talk about, isn't it?
Would you give a 32-year-old 3 years, a 32-year-old Mo Salah?
All things being even, yes, I would. The trouble is, and Stevie makes the point, when you're on 300 plus or whatever it is a week, then that changes the discussion entirely. Because while maybe, and it's almost silly to say, you can take a gamble, I say in inverted commas, on 100 grand a week, which again, I know sounds silly. 300 is pretty ridiculous. Because if that third year, he has a down year, that's a lot to absorb. And again, to Stevie's point, not only those two, you also got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's going out to contract, who's attracting interest from big clubs. He has every right to go in and say, well, hold on a minute. You can get a whole lot more runway out of me because of my age. We've got, at the very least, speculation about Real Madrid and others. Those two aren't attracting that kind of interest. I want to be on that kind of money. And from the time the wage structure becomes kind of fractured like that, everybody who's going out to contract and negotiating a new deal, that's their benchmark. They know that these players are on 3 or 4, whatever it is they settle on. Okay, maybe I'm not scoring 30 goals a season like Mo Salah is, but I could probably get in at 250. I could come. Everything just really does snowball. So that for me is a determining factor. Mo Salah takes a year, yeah, no problem.
See, the thing is, FSG, ever since they came to Liverpool, have absolutely looked at the books. It's not just about, well, we're just going to sign anybody and everybody, give them all the money they want, and end up like a Leeds United. But they haven't done that. Everything's been calculated. There's a plan in place. And that's what I meant when I was talking about the future of the club is more important than just right now what's going on. And so you can't give Salah and Van Dijk and Trent Alexander, you can't give them 300 and 400 grand. Because one, it blows up the whole thing because everybody wants it. But you've also got a budget to work with. And you can't take your eyes off that. There are so many different facets to this. That's why it's so difficult.
So difficult.
And they did it, listen, they did it with Manny. It was, okay, we need to keep one of them. One has to go. And that's because they're looking after the future of the club. They are not going to turn round and give somebody $500,000 a week or whatever it is they want for 3 years when, as we've said, Frank said it, it can change very quickly, and then you're stuck with a guy on $500,000 a week.
But how do you replace a player as special as him?
Well, here's the thing. This might come as a surprise. Ever since Bill Shankly came to Liverpool, when Ron Yates went, when St John went, they asked who's going to replace them. And then Dalglish came, and Roche came, and Fowler came, and Gerrard came, and Salah came, and Van Dijk came. And the club will always survive. It's not about just one guy. What do we do? Everybody said that when Manny left. Oh, how are we going to replace Manny? Well, guess what? We've got Luis Diaz, and we got Gakpo, who this year has taken a step forward. So that's the kind of things you can't get involved in that if you're in charge at Liverpool of what are we going to do when he's not here. You've got to look forward. You've got to do what's right for the club in the big picture, and not just cater for one person.
But he is here right now, and he's obviously talking again about his contract situation. Is that going to be a distraction? Is that going to derail Liverpool in any way in this title run?
I absolutely think you can see that it is not a distraction at all. This guy's come up yet again this season with important goals when it's mattered most. That's what he's always been since he came to Liverpool, the guy who comes up with a goal when it's needed. And he's still doing it, even though he's going through this problem with his contract. So I don't expect anything to change on the field for Mo Salah.
I will say this, as even what he says, and I understand how it's kind of set tongues wagging. Any other player in that situation, as a player, I would expect them to do exactly the same. You throw it on the mantle to the club to respond. I don't have a problem with it. And as far as statements go, I thought it was more unsettling, well, 9 months ago, wherever it was, when after whatever game it was, he says about Klopp, you just wait till I speak. I thought that was more of a jab at the time Jurgen Klopp and the football club. That was more of a concern, and that didn't unsettle him. So I don't see this having any kind of effect.